I was prepared for that situation because I put so many more hours in the cage before that opportunity. I didn't just show up and say, forget this guy and I'm going to hit. No, you can't do that. But they don't see all the work behind the scenes and what happens and the sacrifice that you have to go through to put yourself in that position just to get the opportunity.
Arteaga drives one to center. Miller hustling over. Diving catch by Ian Miller. A great catch.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the 9-Hole Podcast. This is your host, Ian Miller. Today, I am joined by two-time All-Star, Keynote Speaker, elite performance coach, somebody with an unbelievable story, unbelievable journey in the game, an inspiration and a leader. Shea Hillenbrand, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. I'm just I'm deeply honored to be here, to be able to share, and I always laugh when, oh, two-time All-Star, I did this and that. Like, that's like my past life, dude. That's just a memory, and I was grateful to experience that. But I've done more damage in my life than I've had success, and hopefully people can resonate with what we're gonna talk about today.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Like you said, obviously the two-time All-Star, people can see all that online. They research, they go on the back of the baseball card, they can see all the damage that you've done on the field. But I really wanted to get into kind of what the story was behind the scenes off the field. If you wouldn't mind, man, just take me through how you came up in the game. What was your experience like in the game? How did you fall in love with it? How did you get introduced to it? And maybe we'll set the stage a little bit before we get into, the major league journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like so many other kids, I grew up in LA, a suburb of LA, Arcadia, California. And it's where the Santa Ana racetrack is, where they do the horse race, and it's at the foothills, the base of the foothills, about 30 minutes east of LA. And my mom and my best friend Robert and I would always go to Dodgers games. Diehard Dodger fan. But the consistency of a diehard Dodger fan in the 1980s, a little bit different than what it is right now. You show up in the third, you leave in the seventh to beat traffic. I had to get home for school because I had to get to bed because Mama grew up in the South and she'd whoop me if I didn't take care of business. So I'd always listen to Vince Scully on the radio, the voice of the Dodgers. Reason why I share that with you is because I'd sit at the top deck. Our season ticket seats are at the top deck of Dodger Stadium. My mom would be on my left. My best friend Robert would be on my right. 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I have my nachos in one hand and my chocolate malt in my other hand. And I unequivocally every single time told both of them, I'm going to play down there someday. I don't know what y'all are doing, but I am going. I have the goosebumps right now at 48 years old. I'm going to play down there someday. And I don't care what anybody says. I just visualized. And that's the number one tool as us major leaguers need, because there's so much failure in the game. It's insanity. 04, I played for the D-backs. I hit 310. I had 580 plate appearances. I played every single day. I failed 400 out of 580 times in front of the world. And it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. So as a kid, I'd always be outside. I never watched TV. I never listened to music. Matter of fact, I first started listening to music when I was 13, pushing 14 years old. And the first band I really listened to on the radio was Milli Vanilli. And if nobody knows who Milli Vanilli is, they didn't even sing their own songs. Blame it on the rain. Yeah. And it's just like, cool. This is cool stuff. But I'd eat supper real quick. And I just go outside and I'd throw the ball against the wall, or I'd hit the ball off of a tee, or I'd kick the soccer ball against the wall. I was always outside, and I think that from a young age, from myself, I think that was an escape. I think that was an escape because my internal world was kind of filled with a lot of muck and mud, and it was really difficult to filter through the mud and deal with my internal world. Some of that's influenced by the environment. My dad was what we call a white knuckler. His mom was an alcoholic, and my dad was always trying to prove, always running from that personal narrative that he told himself which was fueled by grandma's love for the bottle. My dad was a younger twin of twin brothers, and he was never good enough. So he was always working and he was always trying, but always fighting those demons. And my mom, she grew up in the South. She'd always chase us around the house with the wooden spoon because our room wasn't clean. We didn't have manners. She ran a tight ship. I have 2 older brothers, and they kind of like did whatever. But I always felt like I was isolated. I always felt like I was different. I always felt like I didn't fit in. And the majority of the time, as I'm thinking about it right now as a kid, I didn't feel like I was better than anybody else. I never thought I was good enough. And that brings us to 5th grade class. Mr. Murphy, 10 years old. He comes in and he says, "We're going to dream big today, guys. We're dreaming big. What do you guys want to do when you grow up?" And unequivocally, I raised my hand in the back of the class, like ready, like pick me. And I didn't even wait for Mr. Murphy to call on me. And I blurted it out. I said, "I'm playing Major League Baseball and I'm going to own a zoo." And all my classmates laughed at me. And they just like, "Well, whatever." And through that laughter, what I noticed was their personal limitations, their lack of the ability to dream. They're them putting themselves thinking that they can't do it, and they're trying to put all of that on me. How many people go through that situation to where you say a big audacious dream or an idea, or "I'm going to the big leagues," and I know it resonates with you, brother, because other people like, "No, it's not possible. You can't do it." But that day in 5th grade, I made a pact with myself. And it just naturally happened. It was weird. I made a pact with myself to prove everybody wrong. So fast forward to 14 years old. I'm sitting on my bed. I'm just graduated 9th grade in Southern California. That's still middle school, which we called junior high at the time. So I'm getting ready to go to high school. It's formative years of your life. I really didn't have an identity outside of my group of friends and sports. I was pretty advanced in sports. I have a little bit of ability, but I worked, man. I worked and I worked and I worked. And I was getting ready to go to high school, make that big jump. And I just finished baseball camp for the high school. And I made a good statement, the best guy in the area for the 9th graders going to the sophomore. And my dad walks into my room and drops a bombshell. He said, "Son, we're moving out of state." And my stomach instantly dropped. And I sat there and I was like, "No way." And when he left the room that day, the stories that I told myself are, "I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, and my dad doesn't love me. How could he take me and uproot me from my community as friends and sports, everything that I know?" I grew up in the most ideal neighborhood, childhood, friends, riding bikes, like everything that you see on TV. I lived that. And all of a sudden, I'm being uprooted in the formative years of my life. So when I reluctantly left all my friends and moved from California to the hot desert of Arizona, I decided to become an overachiever through athletics, not to go to the top, not to go D1, not to make varsity because I'm a sophomore, is to prove my worthiness to my dad and to show that I'm lovable, that, man, they didn't see me. So I thought. So fast forward, after high school, I become the #1 soccer player in the state of Arizona. I was really good at soccer. I had chances to go to the universities. I had some chances to go to Europe, but they didn't realize I sat at the top deck at Dodger Stadium. I'm playing Major League Baseball. In high school, I was just above average. I was excited because I made All-City. I didn't make All-State. I didn't make all these accolades. I didn't do all this stuff. I had 0 options to play baseball after high school. 0. So I was like, what do I do? Well, local community college, Mesa Community College, right down the street where I lived, could try out. So I walked on and I made the team. And the only reason why I made that team my freshman year of college is because of my work ethic. I was the first guy there, last guy to leave every day. And after my sophomore year of junior college, I became the #1 baseball player at the junior college level in Arizona. I was the #1 shortstop. I get drafted by the Red Sox in the 10th round. I was supposed to go in the top 3 rounds. Last game of the season, I dove head first into first base. The first inning, I was a 3-hole hitter, and I dislocated my left shoulder. So when people say I didn't make it because I got hurt, that's just an excuse. That's an excuse. And we need to stop making excuses to justify where we are. And that's where I come up with the ZEM mentality, ZEM, zero excuse mentality. We can't give ourselves an excuse or an out, or else we'll take it. So I get drafted by the Red Sox, and I tell all my friends and everybody around me, I got drafted by the White Sox. They're like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm telling you, at 20 years old, I got drafted by I was so confused because I was a Dodger fan. I didn't watch baseball. I just went to Dodgers games, and I was always outside playing baseball, trying to make my visualization of my dream materialize through that. So they're like, what are you talking about? You got drafted by the Red Sox, one of the most prestigious organizations. Like, it's Red Sox Nation. New England's like 6 states. Is the Red Sox, Yankees, the biggest rivalry. Like, you're an idiot. I'm like, wait. I'm a Dodger fan. I don't know anything about baseball outside of Chavez Ravine. And number 2, this is where I wanted to say, I don't give a damn what Sox it is. I'm going to the big leagues. So I get drafted by the Red Sox as a shortstop. First 10 games of pro ball, I make 14 errors at shortstop. Manager comes up to me. He's like, would you like to play first or third? Absolutely, dude. There's no way I'm going to make it to the big league. I was just wearing it. But I was the number 1 hitter on the team. So I moved from first to third to finish the season. I get player of the year. And then the second season, I go to full season A ball. And then I'm playing first or third. And then I get called up to the next level halfway through that season, the high A ball, which is in Florida, the Florida State League. And then at that point in time, at the end of that season, I just finished up decent. Whatever. I'm just trying to find my way. And after that second season, my first full season of pro ball, the organization came up to me and they said, hey, do you want to learn how to catch? I was like, catch? Sure. So I went to Australia. I got married and I went to Australia a week after my honeymoon, and the whole off season, because our minor league coordinator catching was a manager of a team in Australia. So I spent that off season learning how to catch. And then I came back the next season. I went back down from high A to low A. So I went from an upper level to a lower level of A ball, a setback. But I hit 349 with 19, and it just crushed it. So the next season after, I got player of the year again. So the next season after that, I go to double A. I skipped the top catching prospect. And then halfway through that season, July 4th, they're talking about bringing me up to the big leagues for the Red Sox. They have Hatterberg and they have Jason Varitek and whatever. July 4th in double A, my 4th season in pro ball, I tear my ACL in my right knee going for a pop-up. I was rocking it. I was playing well, hot track, hot top prospect. It's like everything's around me. Boom, done. 6-month rehab. I go straight into the office after the doctor saw me. Yep, you did it. We're going to have to give surgery. I went straight into the office of the team, and I said, I need my travel money to go home. And then the trainer of the team's like, no, stop. Like mall cop, stop. You can't give him any money. He hasn't been released to go. And I said, okay, don't give me any money. I packed my bags, drove home. I went to Boston for the surgery, and they say you're going to have to go down to Florida for the whole off season for your rehab. I said, that's not an option. I don't do it that way. I don't know how I made it to the big leagues, dude, but this is 100% true. And it's like, you would have loved to play with me because it was just so entertaining, dude. I said, I'll spend the first month in Florida because that's the most important part of the rehab, because that's where you need to get extension and flexion.
Gotcha.
So you get full range of motion and make sure everything's good. I said, after that, I'm going home. So I went home. I just took off. And I trained in my kitchen of my apartment, my condo. And at 3 a.m., I'd go down behind Circle K, 7-Eleven, and I'd work out at 3 in the morning with the bums. I'd give them 40s. I'd buy them alcohol, and they'd help me work out. So it's just like, what are you going to do to go the extra mile? Because this game is hard. And if you put the work in, you will get the results. And that's where I think a lot of players now, at the youth level or whomever's watching this, I think we're missing out of like what this game demands. It demands reciprocity, because it's like a relationship. You got to give to take a base hit, and give. Oh, there's a home run. Give. Oh, I got a double. Give the strikeout. Give. So it's like you got to give to it, prepare for that recovering after a strikeout. So I go back the next season to double A as a third baseman because I couldn't catch yet. So that next season, my 5th season of pro ball, I I I broke the league record in hits in the Eastern League, and I get Player of the Year again. So 3 of the 5 years in the minor leagues, I was able to get Player of the Year, and I walked on at a junior college.
Unbelievable.
So the next season, I get invited to big league spring training as a catcher, and because when you get invited to big league spring training as a catcher, you're only there for one reason: you're there to catch all the pins for the pitchers, because there's like 45 pitchers in camp. Right. So all the guys complain, I ain't this, whatever. But there's one thing that I did when I went to big league camp that year. I behaved like a big leaguer. You have to behave because your behavior precedes your ability. It precedes your talent. It precedes what your thought process. If you behave like where you belong, you will follow. I shut my mouth. I watched and observed, and I just worked and worked and worked, and I caught every pin. And I came in. I know you can relate to this. I came in for an at-bat at the end of the game, and I got a base hit. And I'm there the next day, catching, play left field and play first base and play third base and do this and that, because I could hit a little bit. And I'd come in for 2 at-bats at the end of the game. And then I'd get a couple hits. I didn't care. I was just preparing for AAA to be the starting catcher, because I'm knocking on the door. I'm not worried about the results. We can't focus on the results. We have to focus on the process. What could I do? When I went in the cage every morning early, I was there with the hitting coaches. I was there with the franchise players, Nomar Garcia-Parra, Jason Varitek, and all these guys. I was watching them, and I was just studying them, and I was just doing it. And I was like, man, this is how it is. This is where you go. I just kept my mouth shut, and I worked and I worked and I worked. And halfway through spring, Jason Varitek comes up to me. And we're walking in because we're both catchers coming in from the pen to the clubhouse. And I'll never forget this. He looks at me to my left. I was on his left. And he says, "You keep messing around, dude, you're going to make this team." I said, "Bro, don't be punking me," because I always voice my opinion. I said, "Don't be playing that crap with me, bro, because this is my dream. Don't be saying that crap, bro. Because I don't take this lightly." He's like, "You just watch." So it takes us all the way to the last day of spring training, and we're in St. Pete playing the Rays and with the Red Sox, and I'm starting at third base. I'm like, this is pretty cool, last day of spring training. And the bench coach came up to me. Obviously, as we know, the bench coach is the liaison between the players and the manager. And he taps me on the shoulder as I'm getting ready. He says, "Skipper wants to see you." And I said, "Man, this is cool, man. I'm proud of myself. I made it all the way through the last day of spring, because why do we go to big league spring training as a minor leaguer? There's only one reason and one reason only. You get more meal money. So you're going to Outback instead of Taco Bell." So I was living high on the hog all spring because I got more meal money, man. And this is the stuff that a lot of fans and people on the outside don't realize, because for me to make a big league team, dude, for the Red Sox, $120 million, it's not even an option, dude. So I walked into the manager's office, Jimmy Williams, and he reached out his hand and he said, "Congratulations, you made this team."
Oh,
I was like, "What?" I thought I was getting punked, but I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to pop out. I was like, what are you talking about? Oh, wow, cool. So I was like, what? How am I on this 25-man roster, for the Red Sox? So we leave spring training and we go play our exhibition game in Houston. Then we play an exhibition game in Cincinnati, and then we're going to open up in Baltimore against the Orioles. So we go to Houston and we pull up to the Ritz-Carlton. I'm like, holy smokes, man.
is that when it hits
and
you?
I go to my What's that?
Is that when it hits you? Like, this is real.
It never hits you, dude, because I was just so into it, right? So I was just like, you just go and go and go, because I didn't enjoy the process. So I go to my hotel room and I put the key in my door, and there's a doorbell. And I'm like, why is there a doorbell? This damn room is so big that if I was in the bathroom, I couldn't hear you knocking the door. So I go in the hotel room, man, and I'm jumping up on the bed like Macaulay Culkin. I'm in the big leagues. I'm here, man. Like this kid, like how? Like 14 errors, shortstop. I get to first and third base. You suck. You want to learn how to catch? Yeah. And then I tear my ACL, and then I go back to catcher, and I go to third base. What I'm trying to share by telling you the guys this story is that you have to be malleable. You can't be set in stone. You have to have your final result, identity, the target of where you want to hit, but you have to be able to pivot. And you know that, man. How do I do it? You can't be rigid. You can't be set in your ways. You can't complain. Or if you do complain, because we all have that opportunity at times where we complain, you can't let that be a distraction of the goal of what you're trying to achieve. The only way I made it is because, yes, sir, I'll do that. So I go to the ballpark 4 hours early before the report time the next day in Houston because I'm in the big leagues. Only people there are rehabbers, pitchers, and trainers. And they look at me, why are you here? And I'm like, what do you mean, why am I here, dude? I go in the clubhouse in Houston, and the clubhouse manager's like, hey, Mr. Hillenbrand, welcome to the big leagues, like a butler, as you know. And I'm like, I just want to put on a big league uniform, man, because it's like custom made pajamas. You know, they have the tailor that comes in and takes your personal measurements and spring training. And I was number 71 in the minor leagues, and I wanted a low number because low numbers distinguish the difference between major leaguers and minor leaguers when I play. I walk into the clubhouse in Houston, the visiting clubhouse, Hillenbrand, number 29.
Oh,
I was like, I get my uniform on real quick. I got my spikes on. I got my glove out. Like I'm getting ready for Little League spring training, dude. I don't give a damn. You can't take this moment from me, man. I wish I had a camera. Could you imagine if we had cameras like with that moment? How people would be just like crazy now. So I'm sitting there 4 hours before the game, and the same damn bench coach comes over to me and taps me on the shoulder. He says, hey, Skipper wants to see you.
uh-oh.
And my stomach instantly dropped because there's only one reason that a skipper says that, and you know that, and it's not positive. So I make the walk of death to the manager's office in Houston. My stomach's freaking done. I'm like, gosh, dog it. They didn't even give me one dang at bat in the big leagues before they're sending me down. Just give me one at bat, man. I just want to taste it, man. So I walk into the manager's office. He's sitting at his desk, and he says, sit down, son. And he's looking at me up and down like, why the hell are you in your uniform? You got your spikes on too? Yes, sir. I'm ready to go. And he sits there like this. He crosses his arms, and he looks to his left, and he looks to his right. And he's like, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and you're going to be my starting third baseman on opening day.
Let's go.
And I jumped up, and I shook his hand. I said, thank you very much. And I walked out. I didn't want to give him an excuse or an opportunity to change his mind. I'm like, how is this, dude? I came to big league camp as a catcher. I don't know the bunt signs. I'm seriously going to call timeout during a big league game on ESPN and go, hey, these are the signs, guys. This is what we're doing. Hey, no more. You got, hey, Pedro, you got it. Like, really? How? Oh, you have to put the work in. You can never control the outcome of any situation that you come into, but you can 100% influence it. The only way you can influence the outcome is by how you prepare yourself and how you present yourself in that situation. I always thought I'm the most introverted person. I know you can't understand it now because I did a lot of work, internal work in myself, but I'm the most introverted person. And I was like, how am I going to hit in front of 40K? How am I going to play third base or for whatever that is? It's understanding how to be in the moment. It's the process. It's the sequence. So my first game in the big leagues, I have tears like Niagara Falls coming out of my face during the national anthem, but I had a conflicting feeling on the inside. I was proud of myself because I'm finally here, but I still hated myself. I hated everything about myself because I never thought I was good enough. I was still fighting those challenges, those battles, internal battles of being good enough for my dad and not understanding how to work on Shea Hillenbrand, the person, and not just Shea Hillenbrand, the player. And I wrapped my identity up in the results, the player, like so many of us do because the pressure is so high at that level. So first ground ball hit to me, 2 outs. Melvin Mora's on first base, and I had a candy hop coming in, and I just picked it up, and all I had to do was just throw it to first base. I'm not going to throw it to second because it took me in, and my momentum's going towards first. And right when I released the ball, first inning, ESPN, Pedro's on the mound. I release it for the third out. No. I threw it in the stands, dude. Like, time. So that's a 2-base error. It's not just 1 base. So Melvin Moore is granted third base because he's on first, and the hitter's granted second base because he's hitting. So when Melvin Moore went to third base, I'll never forget this. He went across the cut of the grass. He didn't touch second base. And Pedro saw it, Pedro Martinez, and he appealed it, and they called him out, and they took away my first error in the big leagues. I'm like, this is going to be a long-ass career, man. So that's in a nutshell. That's my journey to the show. And I was never sent down. And my second year in the big leagues, I turned on ESPN. I never watched it, but I turned it on, and they're showing the All-Star ballots for the American League. And I was leading the All-Star ballots over Robin Ventura. I'm like, how is this possible, man? But I want to leave you with this, and I'll turn it back over to you. I was too old to be a big leaguer. You can't field a ground ball. You don't swing at strikes. You're not going to stay here. And I told every last one of those media members, because Boston is the most difficult media market in Major League Baseball. New York's kind of whatever, Philly's whatever, but Boston is like, you got to understand that that's an influential part of a player's life. If you don't understand how to manage that, it'll be an influence. So I just told, they all said it to me every day. You're too old. You can't do it, whatever. And I told them to F off every single day. And I didn't tell them to F off with my mouth. I told them to F off with my work ethic, with my preparation, with my intention, with utilizing every resource. I remember coming off of a road trip from the West Coast, and Jimmy Williams says, off day tomorrow, the manager, he says, hey, tomorrow you don't have to come in, but do you want to take ground balls? Tomorrow, yes, sir, I'll take ground balls. That is not an inconvenience. That is an opportunity to set yourself apart from the rest of the pack. And that's all I did. I wasn't better. I was a level 7 player. My ability, max, was level 7. How does a level 7 can not only compete, but have success against 10s, 11s, and 12s? It's because understanding who you are, how you function, what you need to do, understanding my swing, and understanding what I needed to work on in my game. And so many guys lose that along the way because it's so easy to get cluttered with all the information out there to where we get confused. And the byproduct of confusion is low self-confidence. So I took confidence to the plate every single day because I've swung the bat 70,000 times in the offseason, man. I've swung a baseball bat over 2 million times. I have that cleaner mindset like Kobe or Michael. Like, I just worked and worked. I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm working, man. I thought that's what I had to do to be able to survive at that level. Some other guys didn't do that, and we could say it's different, but that's just the way I played the game. So the intensity. Did you see Burnsy's comment on the thing today? He's like, yep, Shea's the most intense guy. So for him to say that, dude, like, that was me. You know what I mean? So it was difficult for me. It was easy for me to compete because I had that, but walking off the field was very difficult in my personal life because I didn't have an off switch. I didn't have it. So I destructed a lot of things in my personal life.
No, that makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense. So obviously, like, you growing up, you have to deal with adversity, trying to make a name for yourself. You're uprooted. You move out to a different spot, right? You kind of earn a reputation and a name for yourself, a spot on the team. You move out to Arizona. You have to kind of reset, restart. You have to reset, restart. You walk on to a junior college in Arizona. You don't get drafted in the top 3 rounds like you thought you were going to, and then you're changing positions and shit in the minor leagues, man, all while trying to prove to yourself, prove to your dad, prove to people, the naysayers, man. Like, what is that like, having to stand alone from everybody else? You're standing out from everybody else. You're raising your hand up in 5th grade saying, I'm going to be in the fucking big leagues. You're up in the nosebleeds, when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old saying, I'm going to be down there. And there's just all naysayers. You say, even in Boston, man, to think about the media, people telling you you're too old, telling you can't. Like, what is that like, being able to stand out, stand on business, push through it, prove everybody wrong, prove yourself right? I mean, there are kids that are in the audience right now. There are coaches and parents of those kids in the audience right now that A, don't understand what hard work is, B, don't understand that adversity and failure can be a tool on the tool belt to build and progress and move forward, but they're too afraid to fail, and C, they don't know how to go about their business. How did you do that? What was that like? And how were you able to overcome all of this stuff to put forth like an incredible career and an incredible story?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm just ultra competitive, and like, I won't play pickleball. Everybody plays pickleball. I won't touch it. The only reason I won't touch it is because everybody's doing it. That's the only reason. And I'll probably miss out on some great opportunities and great experience. I don't care. I just think differently. It brings us to my first spring training with the Red Sox. We had this old man behind the cage with his old flip-up outfield sunglasses, and he's screaming, line drive, line drive, line drive. And I'm like, who the hell is this fool, dude? This is with the Red Sox. And that authoritative figure, I always took that as a challenge. I never wanted to be the weak link. When I walked in the clubhouse in the big leagues, lineup cards right there at the door, right? You see, am I playing? Cool. I don't talk to anybody. I go do my stuff. I don't need the manager. I already know what decisions to make. I already do that, whatever. But I'm old, like I want to win. Like I want to flipping win. You're paying me a crap ton of money. I want to win. Why aren't you guys wanting to win? What is this, man? Like, I don't get it. So having that mindset is really good when you're competing, but it's difficult to navigate when you're in a team environment, especially with the longevity of a season like we go through every single day. So we had a competition for spring training as a minor leaguers, and the old man says, we're going to do a competition. Most line drives out of 10. So there's 5 of us there. I go first. I hit 9 out of 10. And the 10th one, I hit on the ground. I hit a line drive to the back of the net. He's like, get out of the cage, Hillenbrand. I was like, cool. 9 out of 10, pretty cool. And the other guys get in there, and they're hitting, and they hit like 2 or 3 line drives, and then they mishit it. But he let them keep hitting because whatever that is. And I said, why don't you get his ass out of the cage, fool? Like, and all the guys that were hit, they're looking at me like they saw a ghost. They're like, I can't believe you're saying this. I'm like, well, I won the first round. I'm competing. So if you want to perceive that as a-hole or whatever, it's not cockiness because I'm the least cocky person. I never talk, but I am competing. This game is so flipping hard. You have to understand how to compete, and you have to understand what it takes to be a winner. And that's the biggest thing that's challenged with the players today, is because it's so easy for them not to compete. And it's so easy for them not to win because mom will take care of them, whatever. So second round, same thing. I hit 7 line drives. Get out of there, Hillenbrand. And he let the other guys hit. I won round 2. Third round, I said, forget this. I'm staying in. I hit like 6 line drives. All right, get out, Hillenbrand. I said, F you, old man. I'm keeping hitting. And I just kept hitting in there. You let those fools hit, I'm going to hit too because I'm going to the big leagues. That's so right. Long story short, I won every round. All of my teammates were like, the players that were hitting with me in that thing were like, what are you doing? So I was like pissed off. And I was walking back to the clubhouse with my friend who got drafted here in Arizona with me. And I said, I can't believe that old man. I just like cursed him up and down. I was like, dude, the line drive, blah, 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 blah. They're talking this crap and doing all this stuff. And my friend's like, Shea, don't you know who that is? And I was like, no, who the hell is that? He's like, that's Carl Yastrzemski. Oh. And I was like, oh, crap. I think I might be the only person ever to tell Carl Yastrzemski to F off. And I said, well, forget him, man. He's still an a-hole. He's still like this stuff. But Carl Yastrzemski liked that because he was that type of player, right? So that's just one story out of hundreds I have of how I got kicked out of an inter squad game and single A, double A in spring training. I don't even know how it's possible to get kicked out of an inter squad game because I was arguing a ball or strike with the umpire, right? So it's just, I would get kicked out of probably 5 or 6 games a year in the minor leagues, and I'd get benched by the manager probably the same amount of times too. And when you get benched by a manager in the minor leagues because of how you're carrying yourself on the field. I'd hit a ground ball to second base when I knew I should have hit it off the wall in right field. So I'd be so emotionally overwhelmed that I wouldn't run hard to first base, right? So it wasn't because of effort. It was because of the internal world. So now the manager's writing reports all the time on me. I don't know how I made it. I scratched and clawed. I do know how I made it. It's always about preparing for your next opportunity. You got to prepare. You never know when your next opportunity is going to come. I might have 5 opportunities. You might have 5 opportunities because of where you came from college. But you'll have a first rounder that has 100 opportunities or multiple hundreds opportunities because they're a higher investment. Are we going to sit and complain about that first rounder or top pick saying, oh, he has everything, he has this? Or are you going to stay focused and do what you do to leverage your next opportunity? I always leverage, and I was always prepared for my next opportunity. And that's what it's about, preparing with that. So when people said you can't do it, fine, say what you want. I'll just go out and hit a game-winning home run the next day. I remember in the minor leagues, I was always the best player in my team in double A. And the guys, the college kids over the dugout, first base, they're drinking, they're talking smack. They always talk smack to the best player, whatever. They're talking smack to me the whole game. I was catching as the best player. And then I hit a home run to left center field, and I'm running first base, like pointing at him. What do you got now, fool? Bring it. What are you going to do? Is that inherent? Can that be taught? Can that be influenced in an environment? Because my mom always said I was different because I would be mad at the end of my games in Little League on the way home. And she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, my teammates just don't get it. They don't realize how hard it is. It's like, if we try, we're going to win. My teammates aren't trying that hard. So that's what it takes to go D1. That's what it takes to transition from D1 to the pros. And that's what it takes to go from the minor leagues and skill your way to the big leagues. Because in middle school, it's all about preparation, right? It's preparation. We're getting the foundation. We're getting the understanding how to teach the game. They're going from smaller fields to bigger fields, so that you really have to understand how to learn the foundation of the game. When you get to high school, it goes from preparation to dedication. You have to be dedicated. You got to run early. You got to lift. You got to do what the high school coach says. All this stuff to fit in the program. You got to be dedicated. You got to go fundraise. You got to show up for these tournaments. You got to do all these things. It's dedication. From high school, what so many players don't realize, from high school to college, it goes from dedication to separation. What can I do to separate myself from the rest of the pack? I'm showing up early. I'm taking extra BP. I'm putting extra work in. I'm understanding it. I understand how to take a secondary lead. I understand what bunt defense is. I understand how to move a runner. I understand fly ball priority. I understand the small details of the game, because that's what college coaches are looking for. They don't want to freaking coach effort. They don't want to coach the small, minute aspects of the game, because there's so much pressure on a D1 coach to keep his job. He's trying to bring in the best players. That's why it's separation. So he doesn't have to coach that. He wants to coach how he wants to be able to do his organization, his program, and go out there and win to keep his job. But from college to pro ball, it goes from separation to concentration. If you don't understand how to control this, you will never have success. You will never be able to weather the storms and the roller coaster rides of becoming a pro player. They don't tell you that 90% of players, after they get drafted, after the first week, they want to quit. That's how hard it is. Like, that's like your first time away from home. This is pro ball. There's so many players, and you got the Latin players. You got, like, it is overwhelming. It is crazy. So what can you do to concentrate? And that's what I'm talking about. All these little things, whether it's load, locate, and launch. When I'm fielding a ground ball, I'm doing 4 steps. I'm reading it for speed, location, and hop. I'm setting up from the ground ball. I'm moving my feet. I'm picking up my target and throwing. And if I do that for tens of thousands of times, that process, not just take a ground ball, that process, I can have success. And I learned that from Omar Vizquel, who played next to me. How was that possible? 11 gold gloves, hitting off of a tee is a prime example. They're taking away tees. But what we do with the batter's tee is we're ingraining a specific feel, a swing into our nervous system. So if the ball's in the middle of the plate, if I read that pitch in the game, my eyes goes to my brain goes to my file cabinet, and it just pulls out that swing that I trained in the cage. But I have to train with intentionality. I don't just hit the ball the back of the net or the back top of the net. I have 4 steps I focus on. This is what guys do that hit over 300 in big leagues. Direction. Where am I going to hit it? Step 2, look at the ball. Tell myself my RAS is going to dial in. Look at the ball. I'm going to hit this ball there. Step 3 is start. I have to achieve my load before I swing. Step 4 is feel my swing. As I'm looking at the ball, telling myself to hit it. So if my thought and my focus is externally, I could feel the mechanics of my swing. As you know, we have 1 pitch in at bat in the big leagues to do anything with. The worst thing in the world is to get the hitter's count and you miss a pitch. You swing through it or you foul it off. What your fans and the listeners don't realize, that when we step out of the batter's box, when we do that, we're saying, I'm done now. They're just going to carve me up at that level. So if I train myself 4 steps in the batter's cage, ball down the middle, direction, ball, achieve my load, feel, direction, ball, achieve my load, feel. I'm ingraining 1 specific swing into my nervous system with the result that I'm trying to hit. How I hit that result is irrelevant. That's where these gurus are mistaken right now. We're going to understand that. That will come. If I want to elevate the ball, I just do this. If I want to go through the ball, if I want to do this, I want to increase my exit velo, I do this. But it's direction, ball, achieve my load, feel. So when I get in the game, I've already trained that ball, that location. Let's say there's a pitch down and away. I'm a righty. There's a pitcher that throws a slider, nasty slider down and away. I remember John Smoltz threw me a 92-mile-an-hour slider with depth, down and away with 2 strikes. I just read that location, and I already knew what swing to put on that ball because I trained with intentionality in the cage. So in the game, what I'm doing is load, locate, and launch. When do I start? Read the pitch and react.
Simple.
Okay. I'm not looking fans. I'm not looking his face because if I switch my focus from his arm to his face, I'm done because I'm like, holy crap, I'm facing this pitcher. And that's how hard it is. They don't realize this stuff. You have to have a specific focus that's relaxed, like that tiger in the weeds on the antelope. He's crouched down in that perfect position to pounce, but he's not looking at the whole antelope, brother. He's looking at the shoulder muscle on that antelope. And when that shoulder muscle on that antelope twitches, he goes, and he's got him every single time. But if he's focused on the whole antelope, and when the antelope takes off, he's too late. He's already reacted too late. And the antelope, he won't eat that night. The tiger won't eat that night. The antelope will get away 100% of the time because they're faster. That's how God created them. So in the batter's box, I'm like that tiger. I'm just chill. And I tell myself to start. At what point in time in this wind-up, this motion, whatever we call this now, I don't even know what the terminology is now. Whatever part of this do I start? Because this has to be ready like that tiger. Chill. Not tension, not fast, not forced, not staying, not anchored, not overloaded, not here, not scap load, not all the. I just have to be in this position before I read that pitch because like that tiger, once I locate that pitch, oh, John Smoltz, 1-2, he threw me a slider with depth down and away. Boom. All I did is read it, and I just put that swing on that I trained in the cage thousands of times because it's in my nervous system. So that's how you train, and that's how you play with intentionality and have your intuition, everything, and your ability to just kick in. We're so focused on the wrong thing. So when I'm running to first base, and I hit a line drive over shortstop on that pitch in the left center field, Smoltzy's like, how the fuck did you hit that ball? I'm like, because I'm good. Because I trained for it. So it's like, I could do it. So it doesn't take all the ability in the world. It doesn't take all the talent in the world when you're at the youth levels, which is under college. And I think we're missing a boat a lot. So if we understand how to train our mind from a specific focus rather than a generalized focus, which causes low self-confidence, process orientation, being in the moment, slowing the game down. It's like a beach ball. I don't know, dude. I've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of pitches. I never saw a beach ball, bro. I just was in the position where I was relaxed and I was in sequence and I was chill and I could do my stuff. And like we talked about yesterday, the only difference between franchise players making 400, 700 other than us is that they're getting to the contact point consistently. They're not that much better hitters than us. They're not that much better. They can do certain, but it is so hard to get to that contact point consistently. So how am I going to get there consistently when I'm thinking about mechanics? I'm not thinking about mechanics in the game. Yeah, but you're thinking about mechanics when you train.
Yeah.
What's your brain going to do when you get in the game? Thinking about the approach? How? When all you've done is trained mechanics. Yes, this is the kicker, bro. When I focus externally on the ball, when I hit, I could feel my mechanics. And when I take a swing, and if it's the mechanics break down, what do? I step back, I make the mechanical adjustment that I want to make, and then I tell myself what mechanical adjustment I want to do this next swing, and then I step back in clear on what I want my body to do. Say I'm not getting connected because my hips are going too soon, and I'm not just doing one movement, whatever that might be. Now I tell myself what I want to do, then I get back in there, and what do? Oh, direction, ball, achieve my load, feel. Front toss, when do I start? Read the pitch, react. When do I start? So I'm focusing on the ball. And when I focus on the ball, I could feel what my body's doing all the way throughout that movement. So you don't even have to worry about a coach. Now you empower players to be able to understand how to be their own coach, how to be able to understand how to create. Imagine how much confidence they have. I got kids that do nothing and they go out there and they crush. I had a grandma. We just did a tournament last week, and I had a grandma walk up to me, and she said, I would be remiss if I didn't say something to you. She says, my grandson struggles with his identity. He's kind of nerdy, whatever. And he was so excited to be here. And you made him feel seen.
Oh,
And you gave him some simple concepts to give him a chance to go out there and compete. It feels like he belongs. And she says, when you go home tonight, Shea, God's going to tell you you did a good job. That's what it's about, dude.
I love
A
that.
damn about all this other stuff, bro. I want a player to get self-confidence because you and I know how hard it is to get there. It's crazy.
No kidding.
So,
No kidding, man.
like, what are we doing? All these players want to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen, bro. And they're not being seen by how they play because they don't understand how to play because it's hard. So what do? Got eye black all down over here. They got wearing pink now, and they're wearing Evo shields and wearing all this stuff. They're wearing the oven mitts. They're putting arm sleeves in their back pockets.
Yeah.
They want to be seen because that's how they're being seen. And it breaks my heart because you don't have to do that to be seen. You just have to take a step back as a coach, as a mentor, as a trainer, and say, how can we really influence and help these young men or gals to go to the next level? Because the vast majority aren't going to do anything, but these intangibles that we could teach or what we could take into life to give these kids a chance to navigate life. Because as we know now, post our career, it is hard, dude.
100%. 100,000%. You talked about obviously in the entirety of your career, you put in the adequate work, put in the adequate volume, you built on your skill. You talked about the emotional discipline a little bit. Obviously, like when you're coming up through the minor leagues, you had gotten ejected a couple times. You got sat on the bench a couple times, right? You roll over on a pitch that you should have absolutely shellacked out of the stadium. You might not run your hardest 60 down the first base line. I get it. The emotional discipline is big. Putting in the time and effort is big. Having clarity to gain confidence, right? Or the other way around, however you want to say it, that is absolutely huge. One thing that I wanted to ask you about is the proximity, the environment that you were in. So I get questions all the time about, man, I don't know how to get my kid to work hard. How do I get him to buy in? How do I get, and it's like, dude, he shows up to practice late. He saw you as the parent or the coach of the team, late, not really caring. Man, you're on your phone as the fucking game's going on. You're not fully bought in. Like, he buys into that. But proximity is power. They're training. They're not training, not necessarily to fail, but it's not challenging, right? You're hanging out with the team that you've been with for the past 6 years. You know these kids. You're picking dandelions in between innings, out in the outfield. You're comfortable all the time. You're not really like training to progress, man. When you were coming up, when you were grinding through the minor leagues, when you walked on to your junior college, when you're in the big leagues, man, like what kind of preparation, what kind of environment did you put yourself in? I know you put the time and the effort in, man, but did you train to fail? Were you being challenged, or were you just taking like major league infield? Were you just taking major league BP, or you were fucking grinding? You were putting in the reps. You were making it challenging, man. Can you just hit on that? Like, what was that like for you?
I was always afraid of failure. I wasn't chasing success. I did not like what it felt like to fail. So I tried to train so much when I trained to where I couldn't get it wrong. I wasn't
Mm,
training to try to get it right. So I'm thinking about taking ground balls. I was a two-time All-Star third baseman in the big leagues. I have zero clue how to field a ground ball. I am the worst fielder, but I always trained. It is hard to make an error in the big leagues because the infield is like freaking pristine. It's like amazing. But I just trained and trained and I trained my mind. I can't tell you how many times I get a routine ground ball in the big leagues and I throw it the first. And after they caught it, I'm like, yeah, sweet, got another one there. Right. So it's just working at it and preparing at it. Right. So I was, and I'm still the same way. I don't watch TV. I don't watch sports. I'm always on the trail running. I'm always outside. I'm always trying to figure out. I always have my earphones in, trying to learn, trying to grow, trying to be better because I know my calling now is what it is what I'm doing, and I absolutely am, and I'm infatuated. I'm like obsessed with what I do now. So you have to have that obsession. You have to be able to understand what it takes because it's a marathon, right? So I think of a story about when we're in Toronto. Toronto was like, I don't know, man. It wasn't like the Yankees environment. I don't want to say anything negative about nobody, but the players would come in after the game, flip the music on, open up the beers, and they're like, "Hey, Hilly, you gonna go out with us tonight and celebrate?" And I would be like, "Bro, I don't even hang out with you in here when I have to. What makes you think I'm gonna hang out there when I don't have to, man?" Like it's just, and they're all, "Oh, that's funny." I'm like, "It's not funny. I'm serious, man." So like it's just, it was, I don't know, man. I just see things differently. Like when I speak around the world now, I'm like, whenever I walk in the room to speak at a speaking engagement with other high power, they can't even sniff what I have. They can't sniff it. That's what I think. And more times than not, I haven't been debunked. Like they can't, because I've put so much work in and I've done so much to prepare, and I've cleaned so much up on the inside, the internal battles, the internal strife, all that stuff, to where I clear. My intentions are with love. They're not anger. They're not proving. It's just, this is who I am, man. And when you walk in like that, it's pretty powerful. I watched a clip yesterday of Mike Trout. They asked him about his mental approach to hit, and he says, you have to walk to home plate every single time telling yourself that you are going to win. I'm going to crush. I'm going to beat. Because if you don't, you're done.
Yeah.
Because we have such a small percentage, 3% chance of getting a hit, right? So how do you walk to home plate that way? Well, you have to put the work in and know that you have the preparation done. Some players that are really good don't have to work as hard as the other players because they do it naturally. So this is the reason why, and I want your audience to listen to this, because if I walk to home plate and I tell myself I'm going to crush, I'm going to beat this fool, I'm going to hit it right off his forehead, I'm going to drop, bro, I am going to annihilate this ball. And if I have not put the work in, what is your mind going to tell you? Nope, you're a lying son of a bitch. You ain't going to do it. You're not going to deal with that. You haven't put the work in. So self-confidence demands evidence, and nobody sees it, because that's the internal dialogue we have with ourselves. We all go into a slump, and when we go into a slump, those negative thoughts will be there. They're going to be there. How you eradicate those negative thoughts by neutral thinking, process-oriented thinking, is the only way you can get out. You can't think positive when you have these negative thoughts. Because the negative is like, no, you ain't going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to, no, you ain't going to do it. But how about if you walk to home plate and say, dude, my back's against the wall. This is where I'm at. I have a challenge time with sinker ball pitchers, right? So I can't just try to jack a home run. I can't just try to force it. I can't tell myself I'm going to crush it. No, I have to have a process-oriented approach. I'm going to look for a sinker up over the plate. Has to be starting up here because it's going to dive down, and it has to be over the plate to give myself a fighting chance. And that's where I'm going to go until I have 2 strikes, when I have to change my approach, right? So now I have, dude, my back's against the wall. This is what it is. This is where I'm at. But if I focus on this, what's the next right step for me to take action to compete and give myself the best chance to leverage the next opportunity? So many guys get overwhelmed by this negativity because we have to deal with this. How many first rounders, how many top picks do you see that just crap the bed because they can't handle the pressure that comes along with being a first rounder?
Yeah.
Who the hell is there trying to talk to these guys and help them to say, dude, I got your back. Let's work on this with you, rather than demanding results because they're a commodity and not a human being. Right. And even the sports guys, mental, whatever, we won't even go there. But walking to home plate, man, it's just, you got to have the confidence. You got to. You got to. You can't trick yourself. That's why I struggle with guys that hoop and holler. Blah, 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 blah. Dude, you're like a damn crow on the fence post. You're not going to do anything, man. Like, you're not. And it's not going to happen. And when you don't get a hit, you're going to pout because you're a bitch, because you won't put the work in because everybody's stroking your ego, telling you you're good.
I love that.
Well, at some point in time, somebody's going to be as good as you. And if not better, what are you going to do then? It's not going to be talent. What are you going to do when I call you a Skripsky, tell line drive? Are you going to be a little bitch like the other guys and only hit 3 line drives because call you Skripsky's there? Or are you going to compete? Are you going to stay focused? I was prepared for that situation because I put so many more hours in in the cage before that opportunity. I didn't just show up and say, forget this guy and I'm going to hit. No, you can't do that. But they don't see all the work behind the scenes and what happens and the sacrifice that you have to go through to put yourself in that position just to get the opportunity. What are you doing when you're the fourth outfielder and you get called to be the center fielder and you come up with an amazing diving play and throwing them out at home? How do you not crap the bed? Because you prepared for that opportunity. I understand that. And I've researched you as well, right? So it's just like, how do you do it? Barry Bonds would tell me, he's like, I'm just sitting there, like, tell him, he better not throw it there. He better not throw it there. Boom. I told you not to throw it there, fool. Oh. I told you, right? But they didn't ever see him below the cage, below the stadium in the cage before the game with his BP pitcher hitting line drives to the back of the net. Barry Bonds never hit the top of the net because all he's trying to do is get that consistent feel right there. If I get that consistent feel to the middle of the plate, I know how to manipulate that ball. I already know. All I got to do is make contact out here. All I got to do is make contact right there, and I'll do whatever the hell I want. But if I got to make contact back here because it's a pitcher's pitch, because I can't force it, what Manny Ramirez always told me, Shea, you got to take what's given to you, bro. You can't try to force everything. You're not going to get everything. You got to take what's given to you. How do you take what's given to you? Prepare in the cage, man. How many times do we see players now just going through and looking at the screen to see their exit velo and going over here and trying with zero intentionality? And how many coaches are when their swings off talking about their mechanics? Like it's just it's a never-ending cycle, and that really infuriates me for only one reason: those players aren't going to get self-confidence. They're going to struggle, and they're going to get lumped into 80th percentile of players. How do you separate yourself? Understand how you swing. Understand what drives you. What makes you tick. What ticks you off? How do you work? How do you function? What motivates you? You never had to tell me to go to the gym. You never had to tell me to go drink water. You never had to tell me to go work and ground balls. You never had to tell me to go work in the cage. I'd go in the cage before everybody got there. And then I'd hit with the team in the cage. And then I'd hit on the field. And then I'd hit before the game. Then after the game, I'd go back and hit again, mastering my craft. Not trying to find it. I'm just doing my shit so many times to where I can't get it wrong. So when I get in the batter's box with Mariano, 35,000, ESPN, game on the line, I know he's throwing it right here. Load, locate, launch. I didn't know I was going to hit it out over the monster. One of the most defining moments of my career. I just knew that I was prepared. If I show you the video, I'm like, just chill. I'm chill because I know what to focus on. You know how nerve-wracking that situation was? You know, like nobody has a chance off Mariano. Like it's already like done. So I hit it, and it's already out over the monster when I'm 2 steps out of the batter's box, and I do a fist pump like David beating Goliath. How? I'm rounding first base, and the ground is shaking. How? Because I had intentionality. But that starts with those days that you don't want to get up. That starts with the days where your mind's telling you, oh, I'm tired. Oh, let's just take today off. Let's just do 15 swings today. I'm not going to take ground balls today. I'm just going to go over here and do this. That's what guys do. And you're shortchanging yourself for your next opportunity, man. You never know. I never knew the opportunity was there when I went to big league camp. I thought I was going to AAA, but I was prepared and I acted in that situation. Those are the things that we can control that take zero talent, zero ability, zero stuff. And if you learn how to take those intangibles, then you can start designing a life that's worth living rather than like being miserable. So we could take all this stuff off the field. Like, what do you guys want to do now? I always tell everybody, like, I don't care if we just worked with 150 Canadian players this last weekend. I don't care if every one of them came to me, you know what, coach, I'm done. I'm not going to play baseball anymore. Cool. What's next? What do you want to do? I don't care about the baseball. I care about the human. I care about the mindset. I care about equipping, because who knows that one of these players that we work with after baseball, he's going to open up a $5 or $6 or $700 million company that impacts the world. Don't you think that's a little bit more impactful than a Major League Baseball player? Are you 100%. Serious? Who's cheating on his wife, who's being a crappy dad, who's being a crappy husband, who's showing up as a freaking subpar human being? I'm talking about myself. I'm not judging nobody. I'm talking about from experience when people are, Shea's God. Will you marry me, Shea? Autograph signings when I was just a miserable piece of crap human being because I didn't know how to function as a person. All I knew how to do is hit a baseball. And that's what we're trying to force feed these kids to do. And they're just like, I don't even know what to do. It's crazy, man.
everything that you're saying, I mean, resonates with me. Obviously, like on a personal level, through my career, through my experience, I love that. Love all of that, man. Just being mentally fit, being in the right environment, having the right just self-talk, the right voice, the right vision, keeping it simple. Those are all things that, man, if you cloud up here, where's the clarity going to come from? Where's the confidence going to come
You
from?
can't trust nobody, bro. You can't trust nobody in the clubhouse. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, real talk. I can't trust you as a teammate. I can't worry. I got to worry about my own back, right? And you have to worry about your back because you don't know if tomorrow is going to be your last day.
For
How can
sure.
I be a good teammate, man? Right? The coaching staff, the manager, they're worrying about their own back. My definition of team chemistry in the big leagues, like a good teammate, is not disrupt the chemistry that the manager sets in the clubhouse. If I don't go against the chemistry that they set, I could do whatever I want in the big leagues as long as I'm performing. But I didn't go, I always went against it. I'm like, dude, like, you guys, what you guys are doing is wrong, man. Like, third base coach, you're backstabbing the players, bro. GM's in the clubhouse talking smack about my teammates to me. How do you deal with that? I'm not going to say the team, but this is real talk, man. How do you deal with the manager that doesn't want to win? How do you have a player like me that deals? You can expect me to be like, let's go, okay, cool, whatever. You don't even want to win, bro. And it's my free agent year, and my career and my livelihood's on the line, and you don't want to win, and you're just grateful to be here as a manager because you're a minor league. Like, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate when you're on your second All-Star appearance and I jump on my private jet and I'm going to Detroit, Michigan from Arizona, and I look out the window of my private jet going to my childhood dream, and the first thought that goes through my mind, Shea Hillenbrand, is this all life has to offer? Is this it? I hate everything about this stuff. As I'm cashing $1 million paychecks, flying on a multi-million-dollar jet, as I'm going to my childhood dream, getting ready to play in front of tens of millions of people, I hate everything about this because Shea Hillenbrand sold his soul to the game because all they said, if you just hit, you go to the big leagues. And all I thought, if I go to the big leagues, my dad will finally see me. The second thought that went through my mind on that private jet, all by myself, on top of the world, shook me to my soul. Who are you? Couldn't answer that question, man. Those are the thoughts I had in my head. Nobody knew. I was by myself. Didn't matter if I knew who I was. I had to go out the next day and perform. And if I didn't perform, I'm not going to have a job. And if I don't have a job, I'm not going to have an identity. And if I don't have an identity, I might as well put a pistol in my mouth and blow my head off because there's no sense of life. This is real life talk from my experience and 5 or 6 other players that I played with that did that committed suicide. And I don't want this to go dark, but what is it? So in the prime of my career, I have my foot on the gas pedal nonstop. And I'm scared to take my foot off the gas pedal because it's my bat and it's my back and it's my career. And if I take my foot off the gas pedal, they're going to use it as an excuse not to play me, not to give me an opportunity, to displace me, to DA me, designated for assignment, DFA, or to trade me or get rid of me. But in the prime of my career, I was going nonstop. I didn't realize that at some point in time in the race, you have to pull off to change your tires and refuel your tank. And I never did that. I went nonstop. How many times do you see Drive to Survive, the Formula One races where the drivers are saying, no, I got it. You got to change your tires, bro. No, I got it. And they end up losing.
Yeah.
That competitiveness, that drive, and that fear of failure, and that fear of loss, and that fear of loss of that identity is driving us at the top, and nobody's talking about it because we're scared to talk about it, to share, because we see that as a weakness. And I'm here to say I am going to be the voice to help other people say, I get it and I understand it, because in the prime of my career, I have everything, man. I have 3 mansions, 6 cars, 300 pairs of shoes. I'm net jetting it around the world. Tens of millions of dollars in the bank, man. I'm rubbing shoulders with the presidents, a who's who. We have J-Lo because Ben Affleck was dating her. We have Matt Damon. We have all these guys, as you know, that are around there doing it, living it, on top of the world. And I make a decision. I walk away. I walk away from my childhood dream in the prime of my career, leaving $50 million on the table. I didn't care. I wanted to hide. I wanted to run. I wanted to numb. So that's when I pursued my second childhood dream of owning a zoo. So I bought a zoo and I had 300 farm and exotic animals, bro. I had camels, kangaroos, llamas, alpacas, monkeys, raccoons. I had 2 800-pound Wilshire pigs, Taco Bell and Gilbert. I had a C&I pony for a blind horse. I had a 3-legged goat named Trace. Uno, dos, trait. Makes sense to me, bro. Every one of my animals had a name, had a story, had impact. I had a Holstein cow named Biggie Smalls. He was like a big puppy. I raised him from when he was tiny, man. I was like Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. If your listeners don't understand what a Holstein cow is, that's the black and white ones that you milk. But it was a boy, so you couldn't milk them. You get the wrong milk, bro. And I had a miniature donkey named Tupac. I had Biggie Smalls and Tupac. And I'd say, dude, I have to separate them at night, man, because they'd have coast-to-coast wars. But stop it, man. We're here for the kids, bro. Stop it, guys. We're here to win a game, bro. Stop fucking around, guys. You're screwing off in the clubhouse. You're banging on your wives. Your wives are up there talking shit about you. The manager's doing this. The third base coach. What are we doing here? Are we here to win, man? Are we here to... No. They didn't understand that. The joy I received witnessing my animals transform thousands of children's lives in my community through my nonprofit foundation Against All Odds was priceless, bro. Bound to find fulfillment now, bro. I'm bound to get it because Major League Baseball didn't do it. The fame didn't do it. The glory didn't do it. None of that stuff works, bro, if your internal world is empty. Because when your internal world is empty, you're always chasing and always trying to be the man. Oh, I'm the man. Oh, I'm the man. Look at me. I'm the man. And that's what the game promotes us to do because the pressure at that level. So it's 3 a.m. in a quiet, dark neighborhood. There's a white van parked in front of a house underneath a buzzing street lamp. And if you zoom inside this van, there's a former Major League Baseball player sitting on the floor all by himself. How'd he get here? Had everything. Everything that you could ever ask for. This baseball player had everything that every dad, every coach, every mom wants for their child. He had it. And he's grasping onto a bottle of vodka and he's staring down at a bottle of pills in his lap. And he says, screw it. He dumps the bottle of pills in his mouth and he dumps the rest of the vodka in his mouth. Running, numbing, and fleeing from that pain and the pressure of life. And as he lays his head on the floor of the van, and as the soul's leaving the top of his head, he's clinging on to his last breath. Thoughts going through his mind are, you're a loser. You've lost it all. How did you get here? What would your parents think if you left this world today? What kind of dad would do this to his kids? I don't know. I'm nothing if I don't have baseball. The game had become his name, his identity. So he let go. 10 years ago, I was that guy on that floor of the van. And by the grace of God, I woke up the next day with nothing in my life left, bro. I had nothing. Nothing. It was the scariest moment of my life. And I sat there and I was faced with the 2 hardest, most difficult decisions of my life. After everything that I accomplished, I had to take back control. I had to own my life. And if your listeners are in here still, or viewers are on here still, I challenge everybody here to look in the mirror. The hardest thing for us to do ever is pause for a moment and look in the mirror and see who's staring back at us. And ask ourselves that question, who are you? We won't do it because we're scared of that answer. And I understand that because I was there. I hid behind the veil of Major League Baseball player. Matter of fact, everybody wanted me to do it. They expected me to do it. And you can relate, bro. And it's the most disgusting place to operate from, dude, when you're hiding behind something and you're scared to have somebody look at you in your eyes because they're scared that they'll see your shattered soul when they identify you as a God. I've given away millions of dollars to people, helping everybody out. Only if people knew what I've done, just to try to fill that internal void because I was always trying to be the man. But trying to be the man will lead you to a dead-end road. So as I took back control of my life, what I realized through the process is your personal narrative governs your greatness. Your personal narrative. The most powerful force in human nature is for us to stay congruent to what we believe to be true about ourselves. What I believe to be true about myself is I'm a loser. I'm a scared little boy. I'm a coward. I'm a piece of crap. I'm a liar. I'm a cheater. I don't care about people. I'll do anything to get to the top, because if I just got to the top, I'll be good enough for daddy to see me. As a grown man, And so many of us go through that, bro, and we just put it in the closet, and it will peek its ugly head at some point in time, somewhere, some way, somehow, whether it's our relationship with our spouse or our significant other, with our children and our profession. And we just sit there and say, you know what, dude, my life sucks. Life just passed me by. I just got to ride off into the sunset because I'm just a has-been. So I had to do that. And as I realized that, I rebuilt my whole identity of who I thought about myself, because our personal narrative governs our greatness. When I did that, what I realized is I discovered talents and ability, and I discovered my smile, and I owned everything. It's so easy for us to no, it's all good and get away with crap because of who we are. But I owned all the good, all the bad, all the ugly, and I just took one step at a time, bro. So I challenge, if anybody's in that spot right now that's struggling, that's stuck, that's in that spot of wanting just to give up on their marriage, man, or give up on their kids, or just say, I'm a loser, just know that you could do it. You're not one step, you're not one breath, you're not one position away from giving up. You're one position away from a breakthrough in your life, but you have to take that step. You could put all the resources, all the people, all the environment, but we still have to take that step. And when I took that step, painful step, one at a time, I created momentum. I created momentum in my life. That's the MLB mindset formula that I teach, that I share, that I use as a foundation for my life and the people that I teach. You have to create momentum in your life. The way I was successful in baseball is I created momentum. I did stuff every single day, one step at a time. You have to create momentum, because life's about momentum. The hardest part of the momentum cycle is getting started. It was so hard for me to get started, man. Just to own that I was so broken and shattered, and I was just a subpar human being that everybody saw as an idol. My kids were going to school telling their friends my daddy played for the Diamondbacks, and I'm just a piece of garbage, man. But it's just one step at a time. And what you do is you have to have critical tasks that you do every single day. What are the critical tasks that I need to do today? Do I need to get moving? Do I need to work out? Do I need to take action in my business? Do I need to take one step? What are the 3 to 5 critical tasks that you need to do today? And when you do that, you keep score. You have to keep score, because you have to pull out that competitive nature inside of you to keep score. Did I win today, or did I lose today? And then you just write a journal. How did I feel? What did I do? What did I go through? And if you just do that for 30 days, wake up the night before, 3 to 5 tasks, and you say, I'm going to do this regardless of what the result is, and you keep score. Did I do it? Not the result of what you did. You can't control the result. We already discussed that. Did I do the process? Did I go take action to the gym? Did I try to drink one less beer? Did I try to take one less cigarette? Did I try to take a little bit more water? Did I try to eliminate one drive-through hamburger and French fries? One small win. We have to stack the little wins. Why? Because we have to create credibility with ourselves. That's the only way. You have to create credibility, not with other people, but with yourself. That's the way you get self-esteem. How are you viewing yourself? I have to prove it to myself that I could do it. One small step, showing up consistently. And when you show up consistently, things will come into your life that will take you, that need to go, if you have the clarity of where you want to go. So as I took these small steps, God put my wife into my life at the lowest point of my life. The person that I never thought that would ever come into my life. I didn't trust nobody. Nothing. And my wife stood by my side. It's our 8-year anniversary on the 19th. And she stood by my side. Whenever you're ready to get up, Shea, we'll go. She was strong. She said, Shea, I don't care what you did. I love you for you. I've never heard that in my life. Ever, other than from my parents. Unconditional love. I believe in you. And I took one small step. I couldn't just get up. I was so shattered. I was so messed up that I had to do one step. Man, I made it to big leagues. I could just go here. No, you can't skip levels. One small step. And when you get those one small steps, what you're doing is creating credibility with yourself. And what you do from there is you leverage your language. MLB. Momentum, language, and belief. You're going to leverage your language. When you start controlling your narrative, when you start controlling this and the outcome of your life by putting in the input, doing the things that you need to do to get the output, you will start shifting the narrative of what you say about yourself. The most important conversation we'll ever have in our life is the conversation with ourself. not with other people, not with a higher power. And my Christian brother, no, the most important conversation is with God. You know that people aren't talking to God because the conversation they have with themselves tell them that they're not worthy, that they don't need God. So that initial conversation with yourself, we need to shift that narrative. We need to control the narrative. We need to become agents of change. We need to create agency in our life by controlling what we need to control. And when you go from creating momentum, creating credibility with yourself, doing your critical tasks, keeping score, and if you win more days than you lose more days, you're going to shift that narrative. It happens 100% of the time. It's never been debunked. And then what happens there, you start instilling a new belief system. What do I truly believe about myself? I can do what I said I could do. I am a good person. I am with love. I have intention to serve. I do all these things. So it's simple. It's momentum, language, and belief. And when we do that, we can start shifting our personal narrative, and we can release the governor on our life and start doing and controlling and creating, and then with abundance. I'm doing it right now, dude. I went from a van, nothing, scrounging up change out of my cup holder to feed my kids Little Caesars pizza after I brought home $20 million to a $3 million house and a country club with my dream wife, living my dream life, on fire, and found my smile, found purpose. I had strategic people in my life, but I had to take that action. So I challenge everybody here, take that action. Just take one small step. And once you get going, you'll have more clarity. You don't need to know everything up front right now. Once you get going in the direction that you think you should go with the next right step, what's going to happen is you'll have clarity. Oh, I don't want to do this, but I want to do this. Oh, I don't want to just stay here. I want to go over here. Oh, I want to do this, but you have to keep moving. A man without a vision will perish. Stuff in motion will stay in motion. Anything stagnant will stay stagnant. The third law of motion, what you put out in the world, law of reciprocity, what you put out will come back to you. I was putting out anger and rage and hurt because I was a hurt little boy playing Major League Baseball. This is Yasiel Puig. This is there's so many players that I play with. I'm like, if these freaking idiots would know what these guys are going to and meet them where they are, they'll take your team to the world. But they don't understand their language. So if you don't understand my language, if I'm in that spot of hurt and damaged and don't trust, how am I going to be a good teammate? They're doing it with Trevor Bauer right now. Like, this dude is insane, but he's uncoachable because he's not going to listen to the coaches because they're not going to, he knows more than the coaches. So if I was a franchise, give him league minimum, he'll sell, he'll be a product, let him do what he does. It's just sad. It breaks my heart, man.
I feel the
same. It breaks
same.
my heart, bro.
Man,
I appreciate you letting me share that, man.
Man, I'm grateful. I'm like sweating. I'm like getting goosebumps left and right. Just the agent of change and just catching momentum and just having that, prolonging that momentum, chipping away, stacking wins, chipping away incrementally, going to bed the night before with 4 or 5 actionable items that you need to take action on and just sticking with it, man. That's absolutely fantastic, Shea. I can't thank you enough for your time on here, sharing your story, schooling myself, my audience on the correct way of thinking, how to hit, keeping it simple, the mindset, the adversity, the structure, and the process in place to overcome those adversities and the stuff that you went through, the stuff that you are going through and overcoming on a day-to-day. It's incredible, man. I am so grateful for your time, for your story, and just like sharing it with us, man. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much for being here, man.